Hi everyone, this is Miss Kristen, and I'm here to give you a virtual tour of the reconciliation rooms here at St. Anne's. I've got some pictures and then I'll explain everything that we see in the pictures, and hopefully this will help you feel even more comfortable about receiving your first reconciliation next week. All right, let's go ahead and get started. So, first of all, there are two reconciliation rooms here at St. Anne's, and both of the rooms pretty much look exactly the same on the inside. So, even though I just took pictures of one room, both of the rooms are set up pretty much exactly the same way and have the exact same things on the inside. So, if you've seen one, you've really seen both of them. So, in case you were wondering where those reconciliation rooms are, they are in this hallway right here. They are next to the Blessed Sacrament Chapel. You can see that on the left-hand side. And then those double doors at the end of the hallway lead straight into the church. And if you walked through those doors into the church, you would be standing over where the musicians and the singers are located for Mass. So that is where you would be standing if you went through those double doors. So that kind of gives you an idea of where the reconciliation rooms are located. They're also really close to the preschool hallway if you are familiar with where the preschool is. Maybe you went to preschool at St. Anne's and you know what I'm talking about. So this is where the reconciliation rooms are located in the church building. This is a close-up of one of the doors. You can see it's labeled reconciliation. There's a little window there so you can see in. And then the little nameplate, that little gold bar at the bottom, usually the priest's name might be on that little nameplate to tell you which priest was doing the sacrament of reconciliation that day. So that's what that is for. Now let's go on inside and take a look. All right, so here is the inside of one of the reconciliation rooms, and you can see it kind of looks like a family room, all right? Maybe like a nice small little family room. There's chairs, there's one for you and one for the priest. I know you can't really see the lights in this picture, but the lights in the ceiling can be dimmed or brightened so you can make the lighting comfortable. There's that nice little table lamp there, again, just to make the room feel kind of cozy and home-like and not, boring or, anything like that. So there's that pretty cross on the wall for the decorations. Now, you're probably wondering what that curtain is hanging down from the ceiling, but don't worry, I'm going to explain what that is for in just a few minutes, okay? Now, if you look at the two chairs, do you see the one chair it kind of looks like a really colorful scarf draped over the back of it. Do you see that? All right, well, it's not a scarf. It's called a stole, Stole. And the priest will have that around his neck when he is doing the sacrament of reconciliation. So the priest is not going to be wearing the robes that he wears when he celebrates Mass. He'll just be wearing, like black pants and a black shirt, or maybe a white shirt, or maybe a light blue shirt. And then he puts that stole over his shoulders, and that represents that he is, acting as a priest, that he's going to be giving a sacrament. And he's, in the case of the sacrament of reconciliation, he's like the representative for Jesus. So when the priest is wearing his stole, it's showing that he's, performing one of his priestly jobs, but he's not like wearing all the robes and stuff that he would wear when he celebrates Mass. So that's what that is, in case you were wondering. Here is another view of the reconciliation room. Again, you can see you can see the stole a little bit better. That one in particular is very colorful, isn't it? Very colorful. Sometimes for reconciliation, the priest will wear a stole that is all purple because purple is a color that represents penance and reconciliation. So sometimes the priest might be wearing a purple stole. You'll also see there's, that nice kind of wall covering on the wall. Again, it just is a little decoration so the room doesn't look boring. On the little table there, you see there's a picture of a saint. There's also a box of Kleenex because sometimes grown-ups get a little emotional when they go to the sacrament of reconciliation. So there's a box of Kleenex there in case they need to wipe their eyes or blow their nose. You guys are not going to need to worry about that. You're going to be just fine. That's mostly for the adults. All right, here's another view of the opposite side of the room. And you can see there's the chair that we saw earlier. And then you have a kneeler over there on the left-hand side of the picture. Some people prefer to kneel down when they are receiving the sacrament of reconciliation. And so that's why we have the kneeler there. Okay, let's talk about that curtain, because I'm sure you're wondering, what on earth is that? All right. And the curtain is there because some people prefer to receive the sacrament of reconciliation without having to look at the priest face to face. Now, it used to be back in, well, for you guys, it probably would have seemed like it was a really long time ago, but it used to be that Catholics did not receive the sacrament of reconciliation face to face with the priest. There was usually a screen or a curtain or something between the priest and the person receiving the sacrament. So that is, now most churches today don't do that. A lot of churches have just reconciliation rooms, like we have at St. Anne's, where you can just sit and talk to the priest like you're having a conversation with a friend. However, there are some people who just feel more comfortable having that curtain or that screen between them and the priest. Maybe it just makes them feel more like they're talking to Jesus if they can't see the priest's face or something like that. Or maybe that's what they grew up with, and so that's what they're used to. Some older churches, instead of having reconciliation rooms, they have, they look like big standalone closets. They're called confessionals. And actually, you know what? In the animated videos with Ben and Sarah for our textbooks, when Ben and Sarah go to reconciliation, their church in the videos, their church has a confessional. If you remember that from a couple weeks ago, it showed Sarah receiving the sacrament of reconciliation, and it looked like she walked into this big kind of standing there by itself closet. That is called a confessional. And again, you see those more in older churches or churches that were built a long time ago. And in I'm trying to remember if there was a screen between Sarah and the priest. There may or may not have been. I can't remember exactly. But again, like I said, some people are just more comfortable having the screen or the curtain between them and the priest. You guys don't need to worry about that. You're just going to sit and talk to the priest face to face. But that is what the curtain is for, in case you were wondering. All right, now the next thing I want to show you, this is probably my favorite thing in the reconciliation room. And both of the rooms have this picture. And I want you to really take a look at this picture, all right? First, let's look at the man, all right? How do you think he's feeling? It looks like he's probably feeling pretty sad, right? Maybe he's feeling guilty. Maybe he's feeling upset. You can tell from his body language, right? Like he's got his head down, his shoulders are kind of slumped forward. He's covering his eyes with his hands. He looks like he feels really bad about something. He looks like he feels really sad, doesn't he? Yeah. Now, I want you to take a look at Jesus. Look at Jesus. Look at Jesus's face. Does Jesus look like he's mad at that man? Does Jesus look like he's angry at him? Does Jesus look like he's yelling at that man or really upset with him? No, of course not. It's quite the opposite, in fact, isn't it? Look at Jesus's face. Look at how Jesus is looking at that man with love. He's looking at that man with a lot of kindness, very gentle. Look, he's even got his arm around that man's shoulders, right? It's almost like he's getting ready to give the man a hug. Isn't that neat? I just love that picture. And it's important to remember that look on Jesus's face, that look of love and kindness, that is exactly how Jesus looks at you when you are receiving the sacrament of reconciliation. Doesn't that make you feel good? I took a close-up of it because I just think it's so important to look at Jesus's face. He looks like he loves that man, like he's feeling very kind. He doesn't look angry at all, does he? No. Looks like he's about to give that guy a great big hug. Remember I told you that reconciliation is like getting a big hug from Jesus? It looks like Jesus is about to give that man a big hug, doesn't it? Well, that is exactly how Jesus looks at you when you go to the sacrament of reconciliation. He is so happy to see you. He is so happy and so excited to forgive you, and he just wants to give you like a great big spiritual hug. All right? So, when you are in when you're talking to the priest and you're receiving your sacrament of reconciliation next week, I want you to keep that picture of Jesus in your head and try and remember that. That's how Jesus is going to be looking at you. Lots of love, lots of joy, lots of kindness. It's really a wonderful feeling. Okay? So I want you to keep that in mind next week when you receive your sacrament of reconciliation. All right. Another thing that's in the reconciliation room, and I talked about this a little bit in some of my earlier videos, this is that cheat sheet that I was telling you about. So if you look at it, it lists out the steps of reconciliation. It tells you what to say, it tells you what to do, and it gives you the order. Look, it's even got the act of contrition printed on it. And you know what? These are inside the reconciliation rooms, not just for the kids, the second graders who are receiving their sacrament for the first time, but they're also in there for the adults because sometimes adults forget what to do too. All right? So it's not just for the kids, it's for the adults too. So on one side of this card, it has the order of the steps of reconciliation, and on the opposite side, it has an examination of conscience. And remember, an examination of conscience is something that you do before you receive the sacrament, and it gives you a chance to kind of think about some of the sins that you would like to talk about with the priest so that he can give you some advice and some suggestions. All right, now, some of the questions on here are, work for both kids and adults. Some of them might work a little bit better for adults, but you get the general idea, okay? So that is also something that is in the reconciliation room. All right, so that is pretty much the tour of the rooms, all right? And again, as you're getting ready for your big exciting day next week with your first reconciliation, I want you to just always keep in mind that reconciliation is a big hug from Jesus. All right, you're going to do a great job. I am really proud of all of you for working hard and getting to this point, and I know that it's going to be a really special day for you, and I can't wait to meet you in person and celebrate your first reconciliation with you next week. All right, take care, everybody.